Peace, blessings, and wholeness, family. Welcome back to the farm. It is July 15th, 2025, and I've got a whole bunch of updates for you. So if you want to stick around for a long video and hear about everything that's going on, stick around. If not, much love. So I tried to direct sow. That was the last video that was made. I tried to direct sow a whole bunch of seeds in all of these beds. Maybe you've been following along, but these beds were completely weed free. And I'm pretty sure, because after the garlic was harvested, I laid down fresh wood chips on this bed, and this bed. And none on that one. But I think that there's a whole bunch of seed in these wood chips. And because after I laid down the wood chips, I watered them really deeply. And then all these weeds came up. So either all these weeds were there and I was just keeping them in really good check, and the garlic was growing, so it was suppressing the weeds. And then after the garlic got harvested, it gave room for all the weeds to grow. Or when I put the wood chips on there and watered it in heavily, then all of the weeds sprouted. I'm not worried about that. I'll get that back in check. If anything, it's just like a cover crop, but we don't want it to go to seed because then it's gonna make more weeds. So have my work cut out for me as usual. But about the seeds not germinating, I don't know why. Maybe it's potentially just too hot out here for them to germinate. I direct sowed summer squash, 5 grams of watermelon seed, a whole bunch of greens, and not one single seed germinated. And I watered every day for 10 days in a row. And I don't think too much water could be a thing. It could always be a thing, but I don't think there was too much water from what I was watering. But something to be said, I haven't watered in like 3 weeks, and these collards are just checking in. There must have been enough, collards, Brussels sprouts. There must have been enough moisture that I had sank in the pathways when I flood irrigated them for those to survive. And talk about sunflower tower. Woo! None of these were planted from seed. These are all volunteers. And then over here, so we got 2 different worlds colliding. Over here, I'm trying to grow garlic to sell locally and across the country and make a stable income to provide for myself and my family. Teach people along the way with these videos. Ultimately, I'd like to grow more veg, but the garlic is the main priority, along with some other nursery crops. Over here, my good friend Katie, Soil Solidarity, said that right? Soil Solidarity, yeah. They teach people how to grow food and then give it away for free. So a lot of these plants were donated, and some of them were started from seed in another person's greenhouse that's a part of the group. And we transplanted these 20 tomatoes down these 2 rows a few days ago. The day after we transplanted them, it was 100 degrees for 2 days in a row. So wilting a little bit, but trying to hang on the best they can. Gonna get some watering done here when the sun goes down. Excuse me. So initially we had an agreement for me to be here for this past season. The agreement is to just upkeep the property. And so after the garlic harvested, I was offered these 3 more beds. So there's 6 beds that I maintain now, and then adding on these 3 will make 9. So the exchange that we have is I'm gonna grow garlic in these 9 beds, and then in exchange for letting me take on these 3 additional beds, because I'm gonna need more space for the numbers that I have now, they get a full bed of the garlic. This is urban farming right here. You're gonna have some plastic bags in your rows blowing in from the neighbor, but that's okay. So they get 1 full bed of the garlic. I get the other 8, and we both end up with more garlic than we would have had if it worked out differently, or if we did it another way. So now got to get the weeds in check on these 3 beds, mulch them heavily. I'll try to link in the description to the video of what I found these beds like, just completely overtaken with weeds, and then now a beautiful crop this year. The soil is really well taken care of and moistened and loosened up from the garlic. So I'm excited for the season ahead. And although there isn't veg in these beds, little potato right there and the Brussels sprouts, it's okay, because this has been a complete learning curve, learning experience. So usually I've used grass in the past as my number 1 source mulch, and out here most of the grass is synthetically fertilized and sprayed with pesticides, herbicides. So obviously we don't want any of that on here. But now the thing you got to worry about out here is a whole bunch of weed seed in your wood chips. And coming from somewhere in Vermont where it rains 40 inches on average a year to only 7 inches of rain a year out here, it's a completely different world. And I thought the climate of the East Coast was unstable and fierce, but it seems that it's just fierce and unstable everywhere. It snowed on the 2nd day of summer out here, June 22nd. And it wasn't until after June 22nd that the temperatures really became stable at nighttime. So with that being said, I have some sweet potato slips as like a last ditch effort. That's another thing. I've also put 2 rounds of like 20 sweet potato slips into these beds, and usually the leaves just die off and then they resprout from the cutting, but none of them resprouted. So this will be the last round. There's probably another 20 here, and I'm gonna try to wait till the sun goes down to plant them, so it gives them time to adjust overnight. I know they need to be hardened off properly, but it's hard when they're in water, because when you put them out in the water cups in the full sun out here, they get this like weird little disease funk on their roots. So I haven't really been able to harden them off, but they've been in the sunny ledge. Yeah, so we'll see. And then potentially I'm gonna get some tomato plants, because since they have so many planted over here, probably like 30 tomato plants, I'll get to maintain some tomato plant starts over in my rows. So the exchange, the bond, the relationship building, the information exchange, it's all very important and powerful, and that's what a part of all of this. There is through strong relationships and communication, you can have something like this, no money involved. So once again, grateful and blessed for the opportunities. It's just a push forward constantly, and I'd like to have all of my ducks in a row this time next year to be selling the garlic, also selling the garlic scapes, getting the website online up and running for pre-orders starting July 1st, knowing that the garlic is going to harvest in the 2nd to 3rd week of June. And then also knowing that the garlic is going to harvest in the 2nd to 3rd week of June, you could have tomato plants at 6 weeks of age ready to go in the ground right when your garlic comes out, and you would still have enough time in the season to harvest your tomatoes. As to where back east, garlic doesn't harvest until the 3rd week of July, and if you wanted to plant tomatoes then, well, you just definitely would not get any tomatoes, or you'd get a whole bunch of green ones and they'd be small. Oh, there's a little dragonfly. One love to the dragonfly. And then there is other crop relays that you can do, like Tokyo Market turnips. All your quick crops that take 35 to 50 days, that's what I would line it up with after the garlic harvest back east. But there's so much more opportunity out here for the longer crops after the garlic harvest. So lots of working and planning to be worked into all that. But I left this one garlic here to produce all of its bulbuses, so that'll be nice for some propagation. And then these potatoes just came up from the person who recently had farmed these in the previous season. And then I haven't watered in 3 weeks, and the black walnuts are hanging on. That's because I watered enough in the beginning to sink the moisture. And then these Brussels sprouts are trying to form tiny little Brussels sprouts. I know you're supposed to rip off the leaves to make them grow taller first. But it's my second time growing Brussels sprouts, and this time will be the first time that I potentially get a harvest. But then you see these over there and they're just thrashed. So full sun, and then these ones start to get shade from the fence. So that's a whole nother thing out here. Afternoon shade. Like, you either need shade from the afternoon sun or shade from the rising sun, because it's just too intense with the higher elevation. The rays are very intense. So more black walnuts. They're taking on a life of their own. So if they can make it through the season, these will next year be 2-year-old black walnut trees, and then can sell them out through the nursery website with the garlic. And then we got this little fence up here. Pretty sure it's also to help to prevent like trash from blowing in. And then the blackberries, they have like the bending cane growing habit, so I bent them through the holes in the fence and could like weave them potentially, and then there'll just be like a whole fence of blackberries. So that would be cool. This is the corn, the ye old Uno corn. I planted these early in April when there was not time to plant corn, just as an experiment, and these two survived. That one's putting off its tassels. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So big learning curve overall, and it seems like the artichoke is putting out, and the celery is no longer. But that's okay. It's kind of cool too. I realized the other day that I'm getting to observe them grow their vegetables over there, so I can kind of see what does good and what doesn't. And like, so perfect example right here. All these sunflowers came up from volunteers. There potentially was sunflowers grown here last year, and then the seed spread. All these came up. There was also a lot of digging that was done over there, so maybe they were just brought up from deep in the seed bank. Anyways, right now, sun is, what, it's like 4 o'clock, 4:30, so we got like 4 hours of daylight left, and it's peak. It's getting away from peak heat right now, but it's still pretty hot. And under the understory of the in the understory of these sunflowers is mustard greens and kohlrabi and like more kale, and then there's like summer squash and cucumbers all back there too. But because they're protected from this afternoon sun with all the shade of the sunflowers, like they were doing really good until like a week ago. Now they bolted, went to seed, and they're getting eaten by pests. But it's cool to see, like, you have to create these little microclimates, micro zones within your full sun garden just to get stuff to grow out here that would have no problem growing in a lot of other places. So I kind of get to observe this veggie plot, and then when it's time to grow my veggies, I've already had a season kind of observing and working with it. So be patient, take the time that needs to be taken, and yeah, lots of goals and aspirations and not enough time. So pushing forward the best way that I can, and I'll keep you all updated for the future. So I'll probably gonna just take a break from videos for a while, unless I'm inspired otherwise. But this is where I'm leaving it at. This is what's happening right now. You know the plans for the future. And trust in me, like I trust in myself, that it will all happen in divine timing. So peace, blessings, wholeness. Much love from Dandelion Plot Incubator Farm for Sunshine Farm, and Farmer John NV out. Wholeness.